Good afternoon, Villa fans, and welcome to a transfer talk. Wanted to jump back on because the news across the media is that this man here, Axel Disasi, has now agreed a loan move to Villa from Chelsea. We've also been linked with Juan Foyth as well, another sort of ex kind of Premier League defender that Unai Emery knows really well. But Disasi looks like he's closest. Chelsea have given the green light for him to move on loan only after signing him, beginning of last year, for 38.5 million from Monaco. So, it's an interesting signing. Well, it will be an interesting signing once it's revealed. Fabrizio Romano has spoken about this as well, and mentioned this one. And then now TalkSport are sort of, showing it as well. So it's definitely got some legs in it. Looks like, we are looking to replace, obviously, Diego Carlos, who's moved on. And obviously, the injury that Tyrone Mings suffered, he said himself it's not as bad as everyone kind of thought it was going to be. But I think we all know, and, I've never played professional football. I'm not a sports scientist. But if you're coming back from an ACL injury, you're not going to be able to play sort of 2 games a week, which is what we're kind of asking of Tyrone Mings at the moment. It was inevitable that he would break down at some point, given the intensity of the game that we're playing. When he went down and you could see him really struggling. I mean, he did try to carry on during the game, and then I think it was weird actually, because I think West Ham had a throw and then he's literally just caught the ball to sort of stop playing, sort of substitute himself really, which was a bit weird. But yeah, he's basically, he says he should be okay. Whether he's going to be okay for Wednesday is another thing. And obviously, we saw Luca Digne coming into centre-back, Martson going to left-back, and it was not great viewing, let's be honest. We've seen Luca Digne do that in pre-season. And I did say in one of my previous podcasts that is a change or, a position I don't want to see Luca Digne playing. Now, he may have to play it on Wednesday there as well. If we can't, if Mings doesn't make it. Obviously, Lamar Bogard was on the bench, but Emery wanted to balance out the defence by playing a left footer. So I can't see him putting Bogard in for the Champions League game. I'm just hoping and praying that, Tyrone Mings can make it and get back on the pitch for us. But it's a big ask considering he's not a player who will sort of go down and, stay down unless he has to. But anyway, let's have a look at the incomings. And Monchi is going to be a very busy guy over the next sort of, few days now that we've got a week, I think, just under. Should be hopping on planes left, right and centre. Obviously, Disasi is one that it looks like talks are underway. Personal terms have been agreed with the player. So it looks like that one could be happening. Juan Foyth as well, Villarreal. Again, an injury-prone defender. He's missed a lot of football over the last few years. He obviously knows Unai Emery really well. And maybe, Emery's sort of spoken to him about playing sort of occasionally and providing sort of competition. But he's a right-footed defender as well. So if Emery wants to play left-footers on the left, then having Juan Foyth coming in as a right-footer and Disasi as a right-footer doesn't quite fit that remit. So it'd be interesting to see if we are going after both of them or just one of them. There are talks that Mario Hermoso, who we were linked with in the summer, has fallen out at Roma and linked with Bayer Leverkusen. He's obviously a left-footed centre-back that we were looking at very closely. Can Monchi jump on the aeroplane and meet, with Hermoso before he gets to Leverkusen? The other name springs to mind that's left-footed is Clement Longley. Obviously, that we've had before as well. I'm not sure what he's up to these days and how many minutes he's getting at Atletico. Haven't seen much of him at all, but these are the options now. So Disasi looks like it's happening. One thing I would say about Disasi is that he does make a good impression on his debut. On his debut for Monaco, he scored, and on his debut for Chelsea against Liverpool, he scored. So he's got not a bad record, 99 appearances for Monaco and 7 goals from centre-back. So, he's an aerial threat, definitely from set pieces. And then for Chelsea, I think he's got 4 goals in about 37 appearances. which again isn't too bad. It's sort of, what's that, 1 in 10 or something, just roughly just around that sort of figure. So yeah, he's not too bad as a player, but the Chelsea fans, and I know a few of them, don't really rate him highly at all. They've nicknamed him Axel Disaster. And how is he a centre-back that's comfortable with the ball? Not what I've seen at Chelsea. He seems to be a defender who's panicked on the ball a little bit. He's not calm. He's not going to be one who's going to bring the ball out of defence. He's there as a ball-winning centre-back. He's 6'3", he's aerially quite sound. But positionally, he can be caught out of position. But this is why maybe a loan move would be good. We get a chance to see him, how he is on the ball. Does he play a lot of football? Maybe so. Maybe him or Juan Foyth might quite rotate the defensive duties between them. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It's just been sort of breaking over the last few hours today, really, that this Disasi name has sort of come up. I did hear it about a week ago, but I kind of ignored it, thinking there's not much going to happen there. And obviously we had Mings then, and Carlos was still with us then, even though he was looking out the door. And we looked at Bardet, and it looked like Bardet was going to be the one that was coming in rather than sort of Disasi. So it was dismissed by a lot of outlets. But obviously I think Monchi's gone back to the database, as I mentioned in my previous pod. He's got to have a look at who's available. Who have we looked at before? And this is where Hamunzo comes into the frame. Fenerbahce are about to sign Milan Skriniar as well from Inter Milan on loan. Is that something that we could have looked at? But do we want someone that's maybe Premier League ready, like Disasi is? But again, Chelsea even loaning him out to a potential rival, because we're both looking at sort of European positions this season. I'm quite surprised that Chelsea are looking to loan him out to a fellow Premier League club, and also a club that's in and around them. So again, just an interesting one there. The Juan Foyth one, as I mentioned, Emery knows him well. He's predominantly sort of played as a right back or right centre back. He's that sort of tucked in right back that can get forward as well. But as I said, he's just had so many injuries. So whether he's coming in with a with a remit of like, you'll play when we need you to, and there's no guaranteed minutes, because I can't see him coming in and playing at right back or right centre back ahead of Konsa, and then you've got Disasi as well there as well. So it'll be interesting. But is Disasi an upgrade on Carlos? It's probably maybe just about is, but not by massively. It's getting close to the window ending now, so it's hard to sort of go out there and sort of look at everything again with sort of fresh eyes, as probably we need it now. We have to look at what's available, what's on the table. I heard that Danilo from Juventus got released today as well. Not sure on his sort of injury record and things like that, but he's 33. He's played for Real Madrid. He's played for Manchester City. Released by Juventus. Is that someone that we could potentially look at on a short-term deal as well? But it looks like Disasi is the one that's moving forward. Looks like Juan Foyth is definitely another one moving forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if we heard, maybe one or two more as well. Maybe Buendia does get his loan somewhere. João Felix rumours keep murmuring away as well. They don't seem to be going away. Louie Barry looks like he's heading out to Hull City on loan. So there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, in the next few days. Swinkles, I think that we'll keep hold of him for this Celtic game, at least, and then maybe after Celtic game. Hopefully by then we've got in sort of Disasi and things like that. But I don't really want to see Luca Digne playing at left centre-back against Celtic, even though I don't think we have much choice. It's either going to be him or Swinkles. Let's talk about Kamara going back there. Kamara's been our most outstanding player in sort of defensive midfield. Taking him out of there and putting in John McGinn in there. Potentially that could be an option, moving Kamara back to centre-back, but it's just a lot of changing around, isn't it? Which obviously you don't want to do. I think Digne plays better, obviously, at left-back. He's obviously a better option than Martin at the moment as well. And then we've got Celtic coming to town on Wednesday, and that's going to be difficult. That's going to be, even more difficult now considering the injuries that we've got. Having said that, they've sold today their top goal scorer, bit of a surprise one, Kyoto Furuhashi. He's gone to Rennes. They picked up Jota, who used to play for them, in exchange. But I'm surprised they let him go ahead of such a big kind of game, really, for them. But they've let him go. He's gone there. They've got Nicolas Cunha, the sort of creative. I think he's German or Austrian sort of playmaker. He's got 9 goals this season. He's going to be a danger for them as well. And then the other guy, Maeda, is suspended for this game, having picked up a red card in the win against Young Boys. So he's out for this game. He's got 3 goals in the Champions League as their top goal scorer. So having him missing is quite a blessing. Furuhashi now being sold. That's 2 of their front line gone for this game. I think they might play that. Is it Anthony Idar, the ex-Norwich striker up front? But if we can't handle him, he's a big physical unit. But then we should have enough, I think, with with Konsa, and maybe even Swinkles up against him. I think that might just about be enough. But their Champions League form has been sort of up and down. They are, I think it's 15th at the moment. But if they win this game, they could potentially get into the top 8 if other results go their way. So they'll be going out for the win. They'll be coming to Villa Park for a win. Absolutely. So their first game was a 5-1 win against Bratislava in the Champions League. Then they got 7-1 thumping by Borussia Dortmund. Then 0-0 with Atalanta. Nice, respectable result there. A 3-1 win against Leipzig. So we've got that in common, where we've both beaten Leipzig. And they drew to Bruges, and obviously we lost to Bruges, so we both haven't beaten Bruges. So 1-1 draw there, a 0-0 draw with Dynamo Zagreb, and then just most recently last week a 1-0 win against Young Boys. So again, something else that we both got in common, that we managed to. I think they struggled against Young Boys, and they needed I think it was a late goal to get the 3 points there. But they're coming into this game. Sort of obviously top of the Scottish Premier League. They're 10 points clear of Rangers. They've got 60 points. They've only lost 1 game this season domestically. But if we're being honest, the level of competition in Scotland is not brilliant, is it? Really, it's probably championship level. If we're being honest, really. But yeah, it would be a difficult game on Wednesday. But we need to make sure that we are, putting as less pressure on the defence as possible. Make sure that we're getting that ball into midfield and then looking to progress the ball up the pitch. I don't want to see sort of corners conceded or crosses like we did against West Ham into our box. Can you imagine that? That will be where Celtic would look to take advantage. So we need to be mindful that we don't concede unnecessary crosses and free kicks and corners and give them an opportunity to get up the pitch. We have to dictate from the very first minute the pace of the game. We came out of the blocks against West Ham very quickly. Maybe I was a little bit harsh on my instant match reaction, but having looked at it back, we did start the game really well. We could have been, we went 1-0 up after 8 minutes, could have been 2 or 3 up. And that's what we need on Wednesday. We need a fast start. If we can get an early goal, another goal, that will just relax things so much more, especially for the defence, whoever's playing centre-back with Konsa. I'm hoping it's going to be Tyrone Mings, but, let's see. And then up front is this whole conundrum with sort of Ollie Watkins and John Duran. And obviously people have talked about it. And, in the media, Lee Hendry and Jamie Carragher were talking about it, thinking, it's not good for Watkins to know that, after 60-odd minutes, he's going to be taken off. I thought he started the game quite brightly, actually, against West Ham. He was running well. He was linking well, set up Ramsey for the goal. And had a header that went just wide as well. But he did fade quite a bit. But after 60 minutes, being on Duran for him was a little bit early. So I don't know. I think it's like that Danny Ings, having Danny Ings and Watkins, you never saw the best of Watkins. There's only when Ings was sold that Watkins sort of stepped up. He seems to be playing much better when he's the main man rather than having the competition up his arse like Ings was giving him, and then like obviously Duran's giving him now. So it's going to be a difficult one. I can't see anything happening in this January in terms of Duran moving. I think we'll keep hold of what we've got there. But stranger things have happened. You know, if a Saudi offer comes in, Al Nassr have been linked now, and they say, right, here's 80 million on the table. You might have to take that and see if we can get very quickly in you know, to replace Duran. But you know, we've got Daniel Marlon, who can possibly play as a striker as well. You know, we've got some players coming back from injury. McGinn, to Ramsey, getting a few more minutes in his legs now as well, and hopefully, you know, Buendia can play a bit more. He's signed a year extension to his contract, but I can still see him leaving on loan, especially if we can get someone in that sort of number 10 and in that sort of creative area. Yeah, I mean, we've only got less than a week to go, as I said, of the window, but I still think we're going to be busy. It's going to be active. You know, there are names that are going to come out from nowhere. There might be all of a sudden little loan options that present themselves that are interesting and might be working in our favour. You know, who knows? We might see a Marcus Rashford rocking up at Villa Park after you know it seems like he's burnt all of his bridges at Old Trafford now. But you know, these are the sort of options that, you know, for example, if Rashford doesn't have anything on the table with sort of 48 hours to go, then you know he can't really dictate, you know, where he wants to go. It's almost like, well, who's going to take you? Who's interested? I'm not saying that Villa are going to go in for Rashford, but you know what I would say is that the last 48 hours of the transfer window could see some very, very strange moves, and you know, some players. You know, all it takes is one big transfer to happen, and all of a sudden that just, you know, kicks off a snowball effect of other transfers happening. I do think we'll be busy. I don't think Disasi and Foyth are going to be the only two that come in by the end of it. I do think there'll be another one, perhaps even two new names on top of that. So, yeah, hold on to your hats, Villa fans. It's going to be exciting. Monchi's got to earn his money. He's going to be busy flying around, I'd imagine, trying to sort of seal deals and try to wait in hotel lobbies for players who might be there to speak to other clubs and see whether he can get in there first. Like I mentioned, Hamunso, like I mentioned, Skriniar as well. Maybe he should be turning up to their hotel lobbies and having a chat with them first before Fenerbahce and Bayer Leverkusen get hold of them. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts on sort of what the transfers are saying. Let me know your thoughts on this guy, Axel Disasi. Is this the answer? It's potentially a loan move. He did cost 38.5 million. I'm not convinced that he is, but if he comes in and he's wearing a Villa shirt, I'll be cheering for him as much as anyone else. But yeah, guys, till the next episode, let me know your thoughts. Up the mighty Villa.